Hello, everyone. I am Heather Headley, if you don't already know me, and I have a very special guest. Her name is Brigitte Boots. She is amazing, if I could say anything about her. She has helped me so much. I've known her for several years, and we've kind of weaved in and out of each other's lives. And at this point, she's helping me with my business. Um, I approached her in fall of last year and asked her for a referral, and she was like, actually, I do all of those things. And so it's been a really awesome journey with her, and she's still helping me with my business. And so I thought she would be a perfect person to bring on the show, even though the show is about nervous system regulation. About regulation, she is the perfect model, in my opinion, of someone who has taken themselves from a very stressful environment and gone through kind of the rigors of personal growth. And she is obviously still going through personal growth. We all are and always will be. But I think that she's a really great model to show people kind of how it works, especially in business. So, with all of that said, do you have anything else that you'd like to add about yourself? Can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what you do? And we'll start there.
Yeah, thank you. That was quite the introduction. I wasn't ready for that. Um, but yeah, I have worked in marketing for the last 15 or so years. Back in 2024, I left corporate marketing to start my own business. And so now I act as like a fractional CMO. So I oversee all the strategy, and then I have an agency model that helps execute it. With Heather, she has a special place in my heart. So I've just been taking on all the roles with her, which is still, I think, something to say about working on myself and
Yeah,
but
and boundaries.
yeah, but no, it's been really fun. I love this type of stuff. As Heather mentioned, I just was like boss babe in it super hard. I climbed the corporate ladder. I could do it all. I was had my hands in every single thing, and yet I was like constantly sick, tired, like any virus out there, I got it. My body was just like so beat down. And so part of the reason of starting my own business was like taking a step back and really reevaluating things, and doing it on a more slower scale, and realizing that, you know, I didn't have to run myself ragged to get results.
Yeah. So, can we kind of back it up a little bit and slow it down a little bit and
Mhm.
talk about what that experience was like for you? Kind of weaving in the nervous system um, theme. I would imagine that obviously your nervous system was on high alert when you were going through all of these sicknesses and realizing that you were kind of burning the candle at both ends and getting to a place where you started recognizing. What was that like? What was the recognition like? Can you speak to that piece of it?
Yeah. It was really hard actually. I think that was actually right around the time I started to see you or had come back to see you. I was thinking, I took all of these things away. I was like doing all the things right. Like I was meditating, I was working out, I was like resting, and I was still like super high on alert, and I could not figure out why I was still not. I thought when I left my job that it would like turn itself around in like a couple.
Magically
It would
change
be like,
things.
this is what I needed. This is great. I'm gonna be so rested. And
Nice.
I was like still the same tired. And I remember talking to you about identity, and like I had this guilt that like I could make the same amount of money in half the amount of hours, and um that I wasn't worthy of that kind of money, or I people are out there struggling, and here I am, like my goal was to work 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
And it was just like this whole identity shift. And I remember like being on the verge of tears, and I'm not a very like emotional person. I feel like in the last couple of years I have become one.
Mhm.
But it was like, why am I crying? It was like I was grieving this like person that got me to where I was, good and bad, but like that realization that my identity was also making me sick.
Yeah.
Um, and that it was not aligned with like my soul's purpose. And I was literally just like dimming my light because of it. Meanwhile, like this past identity, right, was thinking like, oh, I'm helping all these people, I'm doing all these things. How can I serve? And yet I wasn't even serving myself. So that was like a big aha moment. And it took me a long time to integrate that.
Yeah.
And it's still a work in progress several couple years later. But that like we don't have to tie the amount of work we do with our like worth and value.
Yeah.
Um, every millennial's worst nightmare. But it's how I approach my business now as well, is just like helping business owners, right? Like realize they don't have to do all of the marketing things. They just need to focus on a few things that are really aligned with how they want to show up in the world and just get really good at that and just like put your best foot forward versus like scattered pieces trying to do it all and not doing anything right or well or
Yeah.
and taking that stress off of people's shoulders.
Yeah. So, can you tell us? I know that you have kind of a particular vein that you work in when it comes to marketing. And so, before we get too far, like into the nervous system piece of things, kind of who is your ideal client? Who do you really like working with?
Mm-hmm.
Who, are you willing to take on? And who, I don't know if you wanted to, would want to speak to maybe who is a less ideal client, but more who are you calling in to your business right now?
Yeah, that's a great question that I think a lot of people don't often have the answers to. And I've been sitting with it for even the last month as I, refine my own business and grow and scale the way that I want to. I've always felt that, maybe not always, but more recently felt that this idea of a ripple effect, right? There's a lot of people out there that are making like that ripple effect in the world to make it better. And it's not always about these big, bold changes and choices. It's like, how can you change one person's life and then they change someone else's life? And then it just keeps going and going. So I really like service-based, like people-focused businesses, especially when there's like a purpose behind it, like really trying to better the community. So, I work in a lot of health and wellness spaces. But I also, I also help people that create products that make it better for people.
Yeah.
Or, one of my clients is a saddlery of all things, but they have like transformed like this connection between people and their horses. And a lot of, saddles are really detrimental to animals. And so it's like they are committed to doing the right thing. And those are the people that I love supporting because it feels like they're in it for the right reasons.
I love that. I love
Purpose
that.
over money, always.
Yeah. Yeah. So, speaking of money, right?
Mhm.
Money is a huge trigger for people, it's a huge motivating force for people. Can we kind of go back to that place that we were talking about where you made that transition for yourself? I know it looks different for everyone, but I kind of want to speak to the people that are on their way to work right now. They may have kids or they have a lot of different responsibilities. Their lives are kind of chaotic and they're driving to their job and they are feeling trapped and like they have no other options. What can you tell people are some ways to kind of do it in a graceful way potentially? Like, are there any tips that you can provide to people in that regard?
Yeah. I think I go down a lot of rabbit holes when it comes to like mindset and like neural pathways and like creating new identities for ourselves because that's basically what I've had to do, right? Like I had this old identity and then I see this future identity and like how do you go from here to there?
Yes.
And I feel safe in doing so.
Yes.
And so I've done a lot of work with that and it's a lot of like not I will be that person, but I am that person.
Mm.
So if you keep telling yourself I feel stuck,
Mhm.
like you're always going to feel stuck. But
Absolutely.
if you can really have that strong emotion into like what it feels like to be free, even if maybe your circumstances aren't that right now, but you can like feel that strong emotion and tie it to a very like your intention, like it really like you make quantum leaps.
Yes.
It's you can just you all of a sudden become that new identity and your body doesn't know if it's in the past, the present, or the future. Or sorry, the past or the future.
Yeah.
Like if you think it is in that present moment. And then I say it's not easy to always do that, especially when like things are hard, but like always reminding you yourself, like, you talk about business, like maybe you're not hitting the numbers that you want to hit that month. But how are you showing up every day? Are you showing up as the person who's not hitting those numbers, or are you showing up as the person that is, but maybe it hasn't quite gotten there, right? Like,
Yes.
so what is that seven-figure business owner doing?
Yes.
They're moving their body, they're nourishing themselves, they have boundaries, they have, a set schedule, they're working on their business and in their business. Like it's all of these little intentions. And if you could tie it with like an emotion, especially like a really like strong emotion where you really can like sit with it, it's like your body already thinks it's there and it will do everything in its power to get you there. And I know that
Absolutely. And
sounds woo, but there
no,
is
I love it.
scientific evidence.
Yes. And I'd like to actually interject
Please
you
add
because
all the things.
we are one of the things that has been the most helpful for me, and actually I still need to go back to it at times because we are always unraveling and unfolding as we are on these journeys, right? And Joe Dispenza's work is some of the most amazing work that I have read and taken part in his meditations, and he talks about that. And I just wanted to give people a little bit of a tip here. So there's two things I want to speak to on this. Actually, I want to speak to the emotional frequency chart, but I want to get back to that, so I'm telling you to help me remember that. um, but one of the things that he says is bring up a memory that is making it, that is evoking this emotion in you, right? That's making you feel the freedom, or making you feel the gratitude, or whatever it is, the joy that you're wanting to feel. So I use the example that every time I am doing one of his meditations, if I don't have something in my life right then that's making me do that, I always think about riding my motorcycle with my husband in the summer. Like it's, like the one thing that gets
Happy place.
me,
Yeah.
like gets my soul and grabs a hold of me. And so I think about that when I'm doing the meditation to manifest whatever the thing is. And it really is so helpful to have, because a lot of people right now, without getting too far into the chaos that's happening, a lot of people can't find those emotions. It's like they're out of reach because they feel so overwhelmed, and they haven't done a lot of work to really, understand how to bring themselves back to center. And so they're kind of just like this, they're inside the snowball, right? And it's just rolling down a hill, and they're overwhelmed. And so, anyway, so getting back to, this is a perfect segue into the emotional frequency chart. If you've never looked at one, I highly recommend that the audience does. It is so empowering to see the vibration and frequency that the different emotions emit. And it starts with, grief is one of the top bottom four. Shame is, one of the bottom two. They just show you that each different emotion that you can feel and what the frequency is that you're emitting into the energetic field. And then it shows you the higher energies, right? Joy and abundance and uh,
Oh.
self-actualization, gratitude, all of those, love, 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 love. I mean, it's, really close to the top. And what I tell people is the goal is not to go from shame to love overnight. The goal is to get from here to here, right?
Mhm.
What can I do in my day to just move me from here to here? Because that's where some people are, and it feels so far to get from all the way down here to up here. But if you just take it in tiny little steps, I think that that can be really helpful for people who are trying to make that shift, right?
Right. It's more sustainable too, for sure. Like you think about you're not going from like the couch to running a marathon. Like
Yes,
you start walking and then maybe you start jogging and then like it's
exactly.
the same thing with any like with nervous system regulation or just
Yeah.
trying to change who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we have both been through some of these experiences, by kind of getting out of the rat race
Mhm.
um, and moving into a more aligned work. And so I want to talk a little bit about what it kind of takes to get from I'm in the rat race and I am, trying so hard to get out of it, or I don't even think that it's something that I could even consider. And I think that, some of the things that come to me are when I was still working full time as a nurse, I would I started taking time for myself. One of the biggest things for me was, and I'm curious what your things are as well, because it's different for everyone. But
Mhm.
it was a non-negotiable for me every single day before I got out of bed, and it's still that way. I would do some breath work and I would do meditation, and some days that would last an hour, and some days that would last 5 minutes. But whatever I could allow myself in that morning time, I would do. And it was a game changer while I was even still in. I mean, I wouldn't have survived if I hadn't been doing that. I mean, I was really to that point where I was like, okay, in fact, the week before the shift happened, I remember my doctor saying, like, if you don't take an extended time off, your health is going to fail. Like,
Mhm.
I was at that point, and I was even doing these things. The other thing that I would do is I would take time at lunch to rest. Sometimes I needed a meditation. Sometimes I needed to just sleep for
Mhm.
15 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 or whatever I could do. And so when you're in the workforce, the nervous system regulation is, it all comes down to your body. It all comes down to nervous system regulation. And if you can't start to make these tiny shifts in yourself, then it gets so much harder to be able to do it. And so what were some of the things that you learned? What were some of the modalities that were really helpful for you when you were making that transition?
Yeah. As you're talking to, I've listened to this podcast that Joe Dispenza talked on. It was with Tony Robbins, but you know, it sticks with me a lot because it's like you wake up, what's the first thing you do? You check your phone. And then all of a sudden you go from being in the present to being in the social media realm of like, oh no, what's happening next? Or you're comparing yourself to other people. And then it's like, you are like, I need coffee. So you go, you have this thought and you go and make coffee. And then you're like, I need to shower. So you go in the shower and then you take the same way to work every day.
Yes.
You sit at the same desk every day. You eat almost the same thing every
Yes.
day.
Hmm.
You get off work, you go to the store, you take a right because like 90% of people take a right at a grocery store, and you maybe go home, eat dinner, watch TV, and wake up and you wonder why your life isn't changing. It's
Your
because
brain
you're
never will.
continuously doing the same things over and over and expecting this big life change. So for me, a lot of the things that I've done is just bringing awareness when I go into autopilot because otherwise I felt like I was just like on autopilot. And I still like even to this day, I'm like, what just happened? Like
Oh, I
it's been
just did it.
3 hours. Like
Uh-huh.
I've gotten up off my
Yes.
desk, but like even like little things too, like it's maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but it's like still bringing an awareness to me. Like I will always put my purse on my right shoulder.
Mm.
And I'll probably like this as I get older. So when I like put my purse on, I'm like aware and I move it to my left.
Yeah, I
Or I
love that.
brush my teeth with my left hand and I bring in awareness and I change it to my right hand. And it's just like becoming more conscious of your daily movements
Yes.
and the things and thoughts that you have. Or I'm like, this is really hard, or I can't do this. And then I'm like, yes, I can. I'm literally doing it.
Hmm.
Like, it's amazing how many times we tell ourselves we can't do something or that's just the way it is.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then it's like, either way, you're going to be correct.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I think that was the big like moment for me is just becoming more aware of like all these little things that I've been doing. And I also decided that I wasn't going to take any meetings before 11 o'clock.
I love it.
Given it's, I will make an exception now and then, but like I've really focused on mornings are working out, walking outside, eating breakfast, drinking my coffee, and reading like my self-help book,
Hmm.
personal development, like for 10, 15 minutes, where I'm not all these things that I would put off if I did them later. And then working on my business too, like on it. Um, I think they call it like eat the toad or something like that. Have you heard of that?
Mm-mm.
My coach keeps saying you just got to eat the toad first. Like all those things that are like hard or you don't want to do or that like always seem to get on the back of the list. Like you do those first. Like you got to eat the toad first.
Hmm.
And
Interesting.
so that's what I do. I just make sure that everything that I want for myself is done. And it looks different every day, but it's like I'm spending the first few hours of the day on myself and not on other people. Because once I start working for on other people, it's like hours go by and I'm like, oh, I should probably get up, right? So it's like making that schedule. And yes, it's like not everyone can do that because they have like an 8 to 5 or but you could still do it in smaller pieces, like
Yes. Yeah. And
prioritizing yourself first.
absolutely. And that's why I always talk to people about doing it first thing in the morning. I
Mhm.
loved that you brought up the phone it thing. I don't keep my phone in my room. I keep it in the kitchen. So when I get up in the morning, I go straight to the kitchen. I grab my phone and my earbuds. I come back to the bed. I get right back in bed and I put my earbuds in and I listen to a guided meditation. I follow Breathe with Sandy. He's the breathwork guy that I just love, and I send him to everybody. He's amazing. He's a music producer and a musician, and he does all of the music himself, and it's so
Wow.
professionally done. He uses drones in like Mallorca, and I mean he lives in all
Wow.
these amazing places, and it's really fantastic. And he has so many different options that he's got them as short as 5 minutes and as long as an hour or longer, you know. And I have to do that before I get out of bed because if I don't, I'm better now at being able to move more slowly into my days now
Mhm.
that I'm more aware. But before, when I was working, I had to do it in the morning because if I didn't, it wouldn't be done, you know. And so I think that's a really great tip for people who are looking at either just making changes within themselves or making a change from, moving from the working corporate world to owning their own business.
Mhm.
Prioritizing yourself is a non-negotiable.
Yeah. And I would say too, like just slowing down your movements, like how
Mhm.
many times I was like brushing my teeth like this, and I'm like, whoa, like, or
Yeah.
walking really fast, or like trying to rush through making dinner, or like just constantly in a rush when I wasn't in a rush,
Mhm.
like, or like waiting till the last minute to leave my house to get to the place. And I'm like needing to like add buffers now. Because even when I didn't have anything to do, I was still like rushing through every movement, which I know was just like keeping my nervous system on high alert.
Yeah. And the nervous system is used to that, right? It's used to that rhythm. And so anything slower than that feels uncomfortable. And I think that that's why people don't slow down. I think it's why people don't bring pause into their experience, why they don't not do anything,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Do
Or I was
nothing.
just like so tired. Like
Yeah.
momentum was the only thing keeping me going. And then when I slowed down, I was like, I can't even get back up
Like a
now.
kid on a toy falling asleep.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, yeah. And then having to like just reword things like, you're not lazy. You've just been going at it at such a high pace. Like it's going to take your body thinks that something's wrong almost because it's like, whoa, why is she not doing anything? And it's like, finally, I can like rest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And so you have to get through that dance, right? Of okay, I'm uncomfortable. I'm being triggered right now because I've slowed down and my body's uncomfortable with that. And so the ego
Mhm.
comes online, your inner child comes online, right? And it's like, hey, but you're lazy if you don't do that because remember what your parents said, or whatever.
Yeah,
Whatever we're programmed, how we're programmed doesn't matter. It just matters that we all are programmed and we are all having to deprogram ourselves as we make these transitions. And it is a really huge challenge. And I will tell people from my own experience, I have been on a personal growth journey for 6 years now, and I am still daily working on this. This is
Mhm.
something that I have come up for me every single day where I start feeling that urgency, or I start feeling um, guilty about something, or whatever the thing is, just depending. But it is really apparent to people when they first start making a shift. And I think that that's why so many people don't stick with the shift,
right.
right? It's because they don't recognize that it's a safety issue, it's a nervous system safety issue. They just think that they have no willpower when they set their intention at the beginning of the year that they're going to lose 20 pounds, or they're going to change jobs, or they're going to stop smoking, or they're going to whatever they're going to do. Two
Mhm.
weeks in, when they haven't accomplished that, they stop because it's really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I mean, what are the ways that you have helped yourself move through that experience where you recognize, hey, this is really fucking uncomfortable?
Mhm.
What have
I
you
think
what
just
do you
like
do for yourself?
understanding that, right, like that, I think it just keeps coming back to that awareness of like this, my body is telling me something.
Yes.
And I think, like, I know you know this, but for the listeners, like, I have had every single viral infection you could think of. Like, I've had Lyme's disease, Epstein-Barr, like, I've had, um, pneumonia and like long COVID, you name it. Like, I've had it because my body was just, and I always said, like, my body was just like could not keep like was weak, or like in my head I had this internal dialogue that like I'm gonna get sick because my body can't handle it. And what I've come to realize now, like I haven't been sick in years.
Mhm.
Like since I'm thinking maybe once since I started my own business. And it was like a couple days. But before I would be working through everything. Like I would just push through it until I could literally not get out of bed.
Yeah.
And it was that, lost my point of thought, but like my body was telling me something. And then I was like, telling myself that like it couldn't handle it, which like it was handling a fuck ton of shit.
Yeah.
Like the amount, like looking back and like sometimes I'll like get stuck in this like spiral and just be like so frazzled and then have this realization that like that was literally my life for like 10 plus years, 15 years.
Yeah.
Like how the hell did I
Survive.
survive? Yes, I was younger and maybe a little bit more resilient, but like my body was like on constant alert. And I was like constantly trying to climb that ladder of success because like when I made this amount of money, I would be fine, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't come with the money because I made the money and then I was like, my body is like, I'm too tired and too sick to even enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point?
Yeah. How would you say that you define success now? Speaking of success.
I'm still defining it.
Okay.
I still have goals and like,
Yeah.
I want to hit a certain number or like grow my team. But like, I think at the end of the day, like I call it like my North Star is like, I want the freedom to live my life and my job supports my life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't live to work,
Yeah.
but like, I want like I think I had to go through, and it's still like a constant reminder, like my output does not define my value.
Yeah.
Like I could be so much more valuable on a smaller scale when I'm like in it and like energized and like showing up as like who I am
Mm-hmm.
than if I was just like so stretched thin that like I could barely do anything, but I was like trying so hard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think, I know we go down that rabbit hole, but like human design was really helpful in giving words to my feelings. We're both projectors and they're meant to guide, they're meant to lead, they're not meant to do the things.
Yeah.
They are meant to see things that other people can't.
Yeah.
Um, which I think being like not like being the most active person and like I mean all through my 20s like I did it all and I was always the tired friend but I was like always doing something. And now I'm like what would it be like to not be the tired friend?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, yeah. So it's been like we said earlier, like it's just an identity shift. But
Mm-hmm.
like having something that like it's I think they call it like the blueprint, right? Like having something that kind of shows you what that looks like and then it's like you experiment it with yourself and see what lands like I mean, that's life, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I can
but
say
yeah.
that you brought. I've known that I was a projector for many years now, but I didn't dive into that. I clung on to the Enneagram. That's what I started with, and what was really helpful for me and my family. Um, but you brought it really to me with my business strategy plan, and that was a huge wake up call for me because I'm also an 8 on the Enneagram, and I'm still trying to figure out how those two things ended up in the same person because
Mhm.
they are so opposite of it. I mean, it just shows how clearly when I was a kid, I learned very early that I had to push and do and all of the things to prove myself, and so when you've done that for your entire existence and you're 47, you know,
Mhm.
it doesn't just magically fall away.
Right.
You have to reconcile all of that, and that has been the craziest experience for me, and I'm still very much in the beginning stages of really pulling back those layers of recognition and saying, okay, I do not have to continually be running and or beating the crap out of myself for not running. You know what I mean? It's like this crazy thing. And by the way, for those of you who have no idea what we're talking about, human design is the lens that we're speaking of, but this is the way that personal growth is, whether you know about human design or the Enneagram at all, is
Yeah, it's just a tool.
yeah, and it's this constant flow, which fits perfectly with nervous system regulation, right? Which I just want to say, for those listening who are not familiar with what that terminology means, nervous system regulation is that you can flexibly move between your nervous states, right? That you're not either always in fight or flight or calm. There are purple and blues, right? There are these places that we find ourselves that, and we just learn to bring ourselves back. And this is so true for all different parts of personal growth. It's not just nervous system regulation, right? It's not just recognizing that, okay, I feel really uncomfortable in my body right now. I can tell that I'm revved. I can tell that my heart's racing. I can tell that I'm talking way faster than I normally do, or pressured, or whatever the thing is. And being able to stop and take a breath and allowing yourself to come into a centered place before you move on to the next thing, right? And that comes back to that point that you made about just putting buffers in between your tasks. I think that's been one of the most helpful things for me. I mean, I suck at it some days. You know, some
Hmm.
days I'm
Same.
like,
Yeah.
whatever. But other days I'm really good about, okay, wait a minute. I just got up from the couch. I'm going to get a cup of tea. I'm going to take a few breaths right now, and bring myself back to center. And whether you're talking about that, or you're talking about, you know, if you want to talk about it in the terms of ego or inner child, same thing. We have to give that time and space, allow the emotion to come up and come out of our systems instead of just pushing them down, which is what we've all been programmed to do. So that fits that dance, right? It fits in all of the different pieces,
Yeah.
including business.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's a dance too.
I mean, even if you, I mean, if you own a business or, you work in a business, like it's taking up the majority of your time.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you structure it in a way, whether you're your own boss or you have a boss, that supports you? Because
Yes.
at the end of the day, this is something I have to like think about all the time is like, I was not put on this earth to work like every day, all day.
Yes.
Like there are other things out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was put on this earth to be.
Yes.
Like that's all I'm supposed to do is be. Yes, I have bills to pay and all this things, and that's just part of it. But it's like not my sole purpose
Mm-hmm.
is to just like pay bills.
Yeah.
Like what other species on this earth?
Yes.
Like I'm just, yeah, like we've kind of just built this system around the hustle, which is like you look around and there's, anxiety and depression and mental health issues. They're just like skyrocketing. And yeah, like, it's just, it's so unfortunate because the system is setting us up to be that way. And then there's not a lot of resources out there unless you go looking. Um, that can help you kind of get back to where we're supposed to be.
Yes. Yeah, but here's where I have hope, is that I am starting to hear so many people speak the same language and start to understand this beast, right? The machine that we've all been a part of.
I'm a moss girl, not a boss girl.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
one with nature, one with the forest.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like we have grown up in this very systems based culture, and we have fed the beast. We have
Mhm.
been a part of the beast. We've ridden the beast, you know what I mean? And then once you realize, oh, that's what's going on. Somebody's pulling puppet strings, and we've just been a part of we've been the
Yeah.
puppet, right? And once you
Industrial
recognize
revolution.
that and can step away from that, then you really start to see what's going on. And I really have a lot of hope right now. I know that there is a lot of chaos and there's so much tumultuousness and so forth, but I I believe that this had to happen for the aircraft carrier to start turning, right? And to turn
Mhm.
an aircraft carrier takes a lot of effort,
Yeah.
you know. So I've got a lot of hope right now.
Yeah. I think hope is the only thing we can, right? Like, again, going back to like that strong emotion with intention, like if you can tie that feeling of hope into what you're doing,
Yes.
like that's what's gonna turn the aircraft around, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think the other thing that I would speak to here, and this is just completely impromptu and not in any order, you know, of things that I wanted to talk about, but in order to make shifts in your life of any kind, you have to regulate your nervous system. And in order to regulate your nervous system, you have to have body awareness. You have
Mhm.
to be aware of what's happening in your body. And you can't have that awareness if you don't allow yourself time and space, right? Those little micro moments that we're talking about between the moment that you pick up your phone and you look at it, take a breath, right?
Mhm.
That is where to start. But what I was just going to speak to is the next part is let yourself feel. Let yourself have emotions. I got
Mhm.
in bed and cried the other day. I was just so overwhelmed by the entire weight of the world. I literally had to just lay down and cry. And then I was able to move on after that. But we have we have been taught that it's not okay to express emotion because expressing emotion makes other people uncomfortable or it makes you look weak or vulnerable or whatever the thing is. But you cannot have a regulated nervous system without allowing those emotions to come out. And so I want to give permission to anybody who's watching to allow yourself to feel. If you are mad, be pissed. Go punch a pillow. Put your face in your bed and scream. You know, whatever the thing is, get it out of your system. Allow yourself to have that emotion. Be sad. Be scared. Be whatever the things are, but we cannot stay there. We have to move back to center so that we have this, we're moving forward from this place of strength and resilience. And that is whether we're talking about global issues, whether we're talking about things happening in America, or we're talking about just living our daily life. You know, we have so much stress in our lives, and although we are so privileged and we have it so much better than most people on the planet, we still have so much stress in our lives. And my belief is that teaching people how to manage that is really the only way through. And so to tie that in with your work, how would you say that that fits in? I mean, you're dealing with people who have maybe just taken this leap that you've taken, right? These startup businesses, you're dealing with people who are afraid, who are in scarcity, who do not have the money that they need yet, or they are, they're frazzled because they were stressed in their jobs, but now they're so stressed because they're so overwhelmed with all the different pieces of their business. How do you help people with that? How do you take that pressure off of people and help them move through that experience more easily?
Yeah, I think, what is often missing in businesses or even just like in life, let's be real, is like we never come at it with like a strategy or a plan.
Yeah,
Like the plan, it might not work like you had wanted, but like how do you even know where you're going if you don't have a plan?
yeah,
Like piecemealing things or just winging it. Like it's just not. like, yeah, you can get results and you can get things done and it's fine. But it's like, is that really what you're working so hard for? So with my clients, the first thing we do is a strategy plan. So we look at what's working, what's not working. And you could apply this to your life now that I'm saying it. What's
Yes.
working, what's not, what's draining my energy, what is lighting up my life? Like, what do I enjoy? And then and I use for those clients that are open to it, I do look at their human design as well. Like it helps with messaging. How do you want to show up?
Mhm.
How to delegate, how to make decisions. I think for me, it was super helpful in my own business. I know it has for Heather as well,
Yes.
and some other clients that have been open to it.
Yeah.
It hasn't quite gotten mainstream, but I think it will be in the next few
Mhm.
years. So you just start, you look back before you can look forward. Like, we talk about New Year's resolutions, January 1st, we forget everything that happened in the last year and we only look forward, but like, look at what you've already done and look at like what didn't work as well as you had thought it would at the beginning of that year and like how do you make small changes for like a sustainable future. Maybe your goal is to grow this year, but like, how do you do that? What's your capacity? What's worked in the past? What hasn't worked in the past? And then you start with just a few things. So it, like you were saying earlier, right? Like we don't just jump in
Yeah.
with like doing all the things and then wondering why nothing is working. It's like you just have to do things and wait. And that's the hardest part is the waiting. Like still show up and still be present, but like there is a very few cases where success comes overnight.
Yes. Oh,
It-
for sure.
and it's hard when like you need to pay bills and your family relies on you and all these things, but like what else could you be doing to support yourself, your nervous system? So not only are you magnetizing money, but you're also safe to receive. I know we talk about that quite often. But yeah, I think starting with a plan, like what are your goals and working backwards. Like I did it for my own business, like where I want to be at the end of this year, where I want to be in 5 years, where I want to be in 10 years. Like
Mhm.
it may or may not happen, but at least I have like these, and I work backwards. So it's like I started with the 1 year and what do I need to get there? So these are the steps I need to get there. I need a team. I need to find people I can rely on. I need systems so that I can automate and like take some of this dull admin work out of my life and to free up so I can go to the gym or practice yoga or go for a walk in nature. Like if you don't have a plan, then you can't really expect to like see results as quickly as you would want.
Yes.
I would say that would be my biggest takeaway in business and in life.
Yeah. And it's crazy how that I mean, I just it's crazy how everything comes back to the nervous system because when you were talking about increasing your capacity and having resilience and all of that, when you're starting a business or you're running a business, everything has to do with your nervous system because what energy you are putting into your business is what you are going to get back.
Yeah, it's an
And there,
extension of you.
say that again.
It's an extension of you.
Yes, exactly. And so many people don't realize that money is such a huge energy, such a huge energy. And so many people have so many blocks for money and they have no idea and they can't figure out why I'm not growing, why I'm not getting this, why this is not happening. Why does money just slip through my fingers? Why do we always have debt? Why do I always get more debt? All these things. And it all comes back to the fact that their nervous system is not safe with that. Their nervous system is keeping them where they are because it hasn't been led to believe that it is safe enough to, first of all, receive abundance, and second of all, hold abundance, and that requires work. It requires getting to understand what are the things that are creating these blocks. I think for most people they have no clue.
No.
And I
Or they
can
don't take the time like to sit because we all distract ourselves, right? So it's like
absolutely.
I think that's why meditation is so powerful. It's like
Yes.
you just give yourself the space to actually think about the future and like think about the past and where you are and who you are and
Yes.
all these beliefs that maybe you didn't, they're so subconscious that you don't even realize.
That they're completely running your life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, for so many families, we are kind of the bridge generation in my mind, um, where the next generations, although I know that there are a lot of people who would argue with me about this, um, are much more awake and aware and are going to repeat patterns less than our families have, right? Our generations. And so we can, we have parents that came out of parents that were in the Great Depression, right?
Right.
And so scarcity was a huge thing for most people. And they don't even realize it, but that constant conversation about, oh, we don't have enough. Oh, why does your volleyball team wants you to have matching shoes? We can't afford that. And then the search for like trying to find them cheaper, and
Mhm.
having disdain for wealthy people because they think that wealthy people are only tied to greed and are,
Selfishness.
the ruination of the world. And it's like
Yeah.
that programming in our subconscious, even though you may not think that at all or have any connection to it in your conscious experience, subconsciously you're screwed
Mhm.
unless you unravel that and start untangling those knots. And in order to get there, you have to make yourself feel safe enough, and that requires the deep work, the nervous system work.
Yeah.
And it's so much. The crazy part is it's so much more simple than people realize.
Oh, yeah, we like to overcomplicate.
Yeah, everyone wants to hire someone or go somewhere to do the thing or what have you, and it's like that's fine. I mean, there are tons of modalities that are remarkably helpful for your nervous system. But the truth of the matter is, you're not going to get where you're going unless you understand how to regulate your own nervous system. You can go to people and have them help you, but if you don't learn those tools and have those resources on your own, you're just going to stay in the hamster wheel. And the simplicity of pausing in between activities, making time to breathe in the morning. Um, you know,
Not
oh,
scrolling on your phone while you eat lunch.
yes, taking time. Yes, that's a great point. And truthfully, you don't get nourishment from your food when you're distracted. When you're doing something, you're eating at your desk feverishly,
Mhm.
or you're scrolling, or you're on the phone with the bank while you're trying to shove food in your mouth. You get no nourishment
Yeah.
from your food. Literally, you're just eating it and it's going through your system. I mean, the nervous system is so important, and I could go on forever about it because
Yeah. I mean, it's
it's
so.
such a big deal. Um, is there anything that you wanted to say before we wrap up? Anything that we didn't cover that you feel is really important for people to know? Maybe about you, your business. I'd love for you to tell people how to contact you.
Yeah. So my business is lostmyboots.com. Like I said earlier, I provide marketing strategy as well as execution support. A team of freelancers that I've worked with for many years that know their stuff. And
They're all amazing.
yes, and so I, you know, love connecting people with the right resources. It's something that lights me up. It's also in my human design, which is kind of crazy.
Yes.
I am a networker. Um, but yeah, I rely on freelancers just because they, have their own businesses, then they are good at what they do, and I don't have to do it all.
Yeah.
Something I'm leaning into. And I guess the only other thing that came up, I think, earlier is I'm if you're ever looking for a book, which I know you are, it's on Audible. I am reading a book right now. It's called Do Nothing, and it is about like how we are basically have been like conditioned, right, to since the Industrial Revolution that working harder is better.
Yeah.
And it's a journalist who wrote it. So it's very like research based, but something that really stood out for me was like if you look at it like a great grandparents, right? Like leisure was part of their schedule.
Hmm.
Like, and they got just as much done as we did, but they were, knitting or going dancing or having family dinners. And there was like this whole hobby, or like they spent hours with like their friends. And that's something that sometimes you just have to hear it in many different ways. But like the leisure time, like, I had to really sit with myself and ask, like, what do I do that has like no purpose or monetary value to it? Like, when was the last time I was just like leisurely strolling through town? Um, and so my goal is to like add more leisure time in the new year.
Love it.
That has no purpose or no direction, but it's just fun.
I love it.
If you think of anything, I would love to
Well, I'm
try.
going line dancing tomorrow night if you want to go with me.
I am not a dancer.
Okay.
But that sounds really fun for
I'm
you.
not necessarily either, but I love it. It makes me laugh. It makes me laugh
Yeah,
myself and have fun and
move your body. And that's
yes.
the other thing, right? Like we're so stagnant. Think of energy flows, and if you're sitting all day, if you're just not getting the same stimulation as your body craves. So even 10 minutes.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Um, so I think in wrapping up, the place that I want to come back to is around awareness. We talked about a lot of different topics, and by the way, Bridget and I could talk for 4 hours
Yeah.
about all this
I
stuff.
would love to nerd out.
I know, me too. So this will be continued. But I want to bring it back to awareness. So for the people who are still in the grind and you are feeling overwhelmed and stressed and at the end of your rope, maybe awareness is the number one place that you can start. It is all about bringing attention into your body and understanding what is happening in your body. Like Bridget brought up earlier, pay attention to what your body is signaling to you when you're around certain people. What do you feel in your body when you move from one room into the next, or when you move from one task into the next, or when you're around your family of origin or your friends, for example, or you know, we all become so blind to what's happening in our bodies, and our bodies have been trying to tell us the truth and what is happening for all of this time. So if you're going to start anywhere, that would be the first place that I would tell you to start is become aware of what's happening in your body. And then you can, as it feels good for you, start to implement some of the other things like pausing, maybe bringing in some meditation or silent time in the morning, maybe putting some guidelines for yourself around being on the phone, whatever the thing is. But you really have to start so slowly and in such small ways, because if you don't and you go from a try to go from A to Z, your body will revolt and you'll just end up right back at square one. I think you can agree with that, Bridget.
Yeah. I think it's not something you just do once and you're healed, right? It's like a
Yes.
constant peeling and you're just always uncovering different aspects of yourself
Yes.
and like bringing awareness to be like, why did I act that way?
Yes.
That was weird.
Yeah.
Or yeah, or why did that book just make me cry? Like,
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
what is it?
Hmm.
Like, because I don't think we give ourselves enough time, right? To like even dig in. And so even if it's just 5 minutes, I know.
Absolutely. It makes a tremendous difference. Well, I'm just going to put a couple of plugs in here really quick and then we'll wrap it up. I just wanted to tell people that I have a community now on School, and Brigette is one of the honorary members. I invited a few people who have been very helpful for me in my business, and she's one of them. And so um, I don't know if you could speak to some way that you might have found it helpful so far, or any aha moments, anything that has come out of it that would help people kind of understand what they might be able to get from the community.
Yeah, I think I love that the prompts are really helpful, like thoughts of the day. What I'm trying to think of what the last one that was like, oh, um
Yeah, it was leave something incomplete this week.
oh yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, that one I was like, that feels funny.
I thought it was. Yeah, and it's super funny because
I
the super funny because the next one no one has responded to, and it was to take a day out of your week and allow it to just be a day, and you to
hmm
not have like an I'm gonna fix myself, like, okay, I've got to do an hour on this and do a half an hour of this, and I've got to read this book and listen to this podcast. It's like that whole like constant distraction,
Yeah.
right? It's just trying to bring that into being just being.
hmm Yeah, I
And
did read that and I was like, not today. Not
yeah,
today,
it's a
Heather.
foreign concept, right? And in reading, it's like, no, I'm gonna go ahead. That one's too hard. That one's way. We're gonna push that one over to the side. That one might happen in March.
Right. Am I there yet? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But isn't it cool that it's really, even though the information is all there, the thing that I love about it is that it's really self-paced. It it allows people to do it as it works for them, because our nervous systems unravel at different
Yeah.
paces, and we can't all get in the same car and end up in the same place. We're all, somebody's carpooling, somebody's on the train, somebody's driving, somebody.
Right.
And so I think that that's really helpful. So it's
Yeah.
on School, and the name of it is The Calm Within, and you can find it on my website. And also, I have, if you're wanting to move into deeper work, I have a mentorship available, and that is also on my website. And so, with that said, I just want to thank you so much for helping me. And you are nothing short of amazing as a person and as a business person, a
No.
marketing person, an everything person when it comes to business. And I'm so grateful for everything that you have done for me so far and will continue to do to help me. So thank you. Thank you for being
Yeah.
here today.
Welcome. Yeah. Thanks for having me. This
You're
is fun.
welcome.
I'll
We'll
nerd
do
out
it again if
anytime
you're
you
up
want.
for it.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, everybody, signing off. Take care of yourselves first and then each other.